You may remember the Bette Midler version of this, but this is Keela from Greatest Showman.
The seed that with the sun's love in the spring becomes the rose.
Ah, yes, becomes the rose. And that picture of the rose is perhaps gives us about maybe 15 or so seconds during that bit of music to think about the impact of love and all those sorts of things on the world. And talking of love, I have to say that it is great to have you here. In fact, I just love having you here. And someone else that I love having here is up there as well. It's somewhere else in the hotel. I have no idea where she is. But let me just do this. If I stop the share just for 1 second, I can show you where I am. Let me just make sure I can do it this way. 1 second. Here's the conference room, and I'll go a bit further on this in just a minute. But Masami, if you can confirm, am I not making people too giddy, am I? There's the conference room where we're going to be doing Impact the World Tour tomorrow. And we are going to be doing that in, watch this, I'll just share my screen again. And we are going to be doing that in this place. And rather than just say we're doing it in Lithuania, some of you might not know exactly where Lithuania is, by the way. And today we had just the most magnificent tour of Vilnius and got to hear some of the history of this place. Have a look at this. This is what it looks like now. There we go, right there. That used to stretch all the way from the Black Sea to the Baltic. But then various things happened, and now it's pretty tiny there with 3.5 million people. Let's just zoom in a little bit here. Whoops, daisy, if I play it, it will actually look a lot better. There we go. And there it is right there. You can see where it is. And actually on Saturday, it is their first Independence Day. Lithuania had 2 Independence Days. And it's just a brilliant, brilliant place. This is what it looks like. We had a tour around the old town today, which was just amazing. There you're seeing some of the great things that are happening in this particular place. And this is where we are right now, in this hotel called the Kapinski Hotel. And it is really beautiful, as you saw from those roses and stuff beforehand. But anyway, it's not important to say where we are. What is important is to find out where you are. So some of you have been up on the chat already. So let's do this. Let's find out where you are. All you need to do is answer 3 questions. They're pretty simple. Where are you? Let us know that we're coming through loud and clear. I hope that we are. And Masami is then monitoring the chat, plus a whole lot more, of course, and you're going to hear from Masami in just a second. Let me just see what we've got coming up here. Where are you? Oh, my goodness, Linda, of course, in Southern California. Josh has just moved here. Josh is one of our Amplify, people on the Amplify program. Oh, Peter is in London and so on. Just keep those things coming. Come on. Okay, very, very good. And by the way, some of you who are joining us on the recording, you obviously can't tell us where you are, but we are thrilled that you are here as well. Some really, really great stuff. So, and tell us how long you've been. I think, Rolando, you've been with us for all of 1 week. So you're probably the biggest newbie right here, which is really, really great. So let me give you the agenda. Where are we going to go in these fast-paced 35 minutes? We might go 38 minutes because I took a bit long in the introduction. But anyway, we are going to cover 3 things. Those of you familiar with Connect Plus would know that we start this way, always by me talking about a very quick power of small. Then we get into the reason that everybody comes, which is Masami's really, really useful update. You're going to see some interesting things today, by the way. And then, just like Steve Jobs, there's probably going to be, I don't know, but there's probably going to be just one more thing. So you need to make sure that you are staying tuned for that. So where we're going to begin is right here, where I'm going to jump in to make sure you've got pencils because you're going to need them into this very quick power of small. And one thing. You will see something on your screen right there, right? And I'm just going to blow that up for you because later on today, you are going to hear about a very special bee. So make sure you stay tuned for that very special B. So let's go back to those three or those things that I promised, which is this whole thing around the power of small. And you probably can't see that thing in the middle of your screen right there. So let me just put a magnifying glass over it and blow it up. So we are going to talk about always tiny things that make huge differences. And the reality is that words really do make a massive, massive, massive difference. And I want to particularly focus on just a range of words today, because when I was together with the guys in London over the weekend, was it the weekend? Anyway, no, it wasn't. It was whenever it was, a couple of days ago, I noticed that we were asking each other lots of questions. And sometimes I noticed that the questions seemed like, oh, people kind of, even though it was a lovely, friendly environment, sometimes I thought there might be a better way of asking the question. And one way of doing that so that you get people involved with your conversations is to use these things called question softeners. Now, let me explain what question softeners do. Not surprisingly, they soften the question. They make it less imposing, if you will. And they're very simple. Take a note of it and make a note to use these two things for the rest of the day. You will find that when you do, when you precede your questions with these two things, people will kind of lean in a little bit more. So here's the first one. Can I just ask, instead of just asking it, just go, can I just ask what's your view on something? That's much, much softer than what's your view on? Hope you heard it. And this one is a really cool one, by the way, but you don't mean it, by the way. You mean it absolutely like on the point, but you say, oh, by the way, what's the, and you can see that it softens the question. So that's question softeners, but there's one other thing that we kind of hit on in our last Amplify program, the people that I'm mentoring and so on, and we hit on it again at the B1G1X in London. And I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it a desire enhancer, just so that you kind of want to really get what it is. So here's the desire enhancer. What it does is enhance the desire for someone to get involved with you in your product or in your service. And it's very, 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 very simple. It's just this. You know, John, this is not for everyone. And the moment you say that, have a guess what those people want to do. So again, it's like a soft way of dealing particularly with pricing and those sorts of things. So there you go. Couple of things for you on the power of small. Oh, one other thing that I mentioned again to the people that I'm mentoring on the Amplify program, I mentioned this book. I did get to read a little piece of it on the airplane on the way over. And if you wanted to have a look at the ultimate power of small, how good is the title of this book? It's called Company of One. It's written by Paul Jarvis. I've just read the first 2.5 chapters, and I'm liking what I read, I have to say. So it's ultimate power of small, right? Why staying small is the next big thing for business. So what you might want to do at the end, don't do it now, at the end of our time together in Connect Plus, jump up online, get it on Kindle. I think you'll enjoy it. In fact, two of the people who are in Amplify have been saying, well, they are so glad they read that book. And one of those formed one of the biggest fitness franchises ever. That's Jacinda McDonald. And she said this was just such a good book to read. So jump up and have a read of it. So I said earlier on that there's one reason that people come to this. It's really to meet with Masami and to get her very useful update. So Masami, that means it's time for you, which means I can take a little minute to read all these chat messages that have been coming in. So over to you. Thanks.
So hello everyone, and some of you were at the B1G1X event, and great to have you back. And you know, today I will be sharing a few updates. And normally the tradition is that we talk about 3 things. And so the first one is this. Let me share my screen. Video that. Okay. Here we are. So now it's already February 2019, and the first month of the year went like, you know, so fast. So now we are still like, I still feel that we are at the beginning of the year, where we are looking forward to many great things are happening in the world of B1G1 too. But the very first thing we've been experiencing is this final part of the Impact World Tour, connecting with many existing and new B1G1 members. And so it's been fantastic. And so there are some new members on this call today too. So I hope you will come back to many of these B1G1 Connect Plus updates from now on and interact with other members. So then the second thing that happened that's been the highlight of the first part of this year was this. So let me see. B1G1X. And so there, I saw some comments already on the chat saying, wow, B1G1X was amazing. And so just to show you little snippets, because it's been just like how many hours since the end of B1G1X?
Like 24, I think, like 24, yeah.
So we haven't done the real production yet, but I just put a very quick video together. So even if you are part of it, you will reflect on this. But if you weren't there, then you get a sense of how it was. So enjoy. So that was the real quick version of the B1G1X reflection, as I would say. But then I guess like there are so many things that made this event very special, but the one of those things is that actually it was organized by B1G1 members. And not by B1G1, not by us, but these things are happening because there is so much desire for our members and partners to do more. So that's been really fantastic. And as you saw, not only that we were sitting in the room and then experiencing the inspiring talks and discussing ideas, we also did things like rock and roll, city walk or London night walks and learning about the history, and then having intimate conversations with many of other B1G1 members. So that was just really like a great time Paul and I shared. So thank you so much for making that time so special by for those of you who were there. But I really look forward to seeing more events like this happening in.
And Masami, we are going to see more of them because, as you know, the people in the US on Impact the World Tour, we're talking about doing it. We know there's some coming up in Australia later in the year. And I love the comment that Natalie made earlier on. She said, move over TEDx. I think what Steve and the guys in London did, I still really haven't come to terms with it. It was just amazing. And a really good thing, I think, that talks about what happens when we kind of let more people run more things. It just gets very exciting.
Yeah, definitely. And so then that takes us to the next topic. And this part, like we did introduce this idea at the B1G1X2, but there are other things that you didn't know of as well. So please stay tuned. So the next one is related to the picture Paul just to show us. So let me go back to the slide. Okay, can you see this? Now
yes, we got it.
Second item. Can you see that? Can you see that?
Yes,
so
it's there.
Yeah, so the second item is about moving forward, and why is it, why are we showing the picture of B? And we want to really like relate to this special theme especially this year, because B1G1 is looking at scaling this year. And only way for us to really make this movement very strong around the world is for all of these little dots to connect together to make things happen all the time. So B is a very special symbol in this community, because as individual business owners, we are making great things happen every day with our business activities. But at the same time, we are incorporating the power of giving and giving back, just like the bees pollinating flowers, in so many things we are doing all the time. So that's why this is the symbol. And then, as we were at the beginning of the year talking about how we can do this, how can we really develop the movement, we had thought. So we started to draw a picture, and then we ended up with this idea, which we now call the Big B. So let me go through this quickly. And so what happened was, since the beginning of B1G1, over the last over the last decade or more, we've focused on creating more and more giving businesses. So B1G1 always had the main team based in Singapore, but also we had B1G1 members around the world, including the businesses and worthy causes. But then in the process, we realized that some of those members said they wanted to do more, and they started to do some great things. And so we launched this special program called B1G1 Champions. So many of these members who wanted to recommend B1G1 to their friend became B1G1 champions, and they had the special status. They also had a special referral code, and they got access to some additional videos and PowerPoint presentation and that. So that's been a great thing. But then we realized that among some of those members who wanted to introduce B1G1 to their contacts, there were those who had so-called like B2B businesses that had already many business clients, and then they wanted to more actively introduce this to their clients. So we came up with this another idea, which initiative, which is called For Good Partnership. So For Good Partners, so this is the new initiative that we are developing in the beginning of this year. So For Good Partnership is an ideal way for these businesses that already have an existing client base and also business network, and they want to add B1G1 as a part of their service offering. So basically what can happen with this is that B1G1 champions are the ones who might mention B1G1 to their friend and said, oh, if you want to join B1G1, you can use this special referral code or a link, and people will join themselves directly with B1G1. But For Good Partners have the ability to make B1G1 part of their service, product and service, and then say, oh, with our company, you can take advantage of these services. But if you want to become a giving business, we can help you do that, and then add on the B1G1 to that list.
I like that thought, Masami, that B1G1 can become one of your service lines or one of your product lines with the For Good option. And I love the idea. By the way, you might not see that it looks like a bee yet, but you will in a moment. But I love the idea of creating your own hive, as it were. So imagine lots of B1G1 members that you've created that are really part of this subgroup, if you like, belonging to you in a very different way than has ever been possible before.
And what allows you to do this, what allows you to do is actually you could create additional services around it too. So for example, in order for those businesses to really maximize their impact, they may want to create an impact page, or they may want to have advice with how they can involve their team in this. Or so if your company specializes in certain area and wants to create a new service offering, incorporating B1G1 as a part of it, then you can create additional service as well. And we work with you to do that. So this is still, work in progress. Because we wanted to make this happen and come up with the best execution plan, working with those businesses who seriously want to actually make this happen with us. So for now, if you are interested in this, then all you need to do is to write to me or Paul saying, I'm interested in For Good Partnership. So that would be paul@b1g1.com or masami@b1g1.com. And if you've already expressed your interest at B1G1X in London, then no need.
Don't worry, we've got it.
We've got all your information. But if you this is the first time to hear about this and you are interested, then please let us know.
And for those of you who haven't heard before, one of the reasons of the Impact World Tour, which Masami says is the last one tomorrow, right here in Vilnius, one of the most amazing things, if we look at the number of people who joined us on Impact the World Tour, who did not know us as an individual entities, then there was probably around 300, close to 300. And yet, when they saw the B1G1 opportunity, then just over 200 of them decided to become a part of B1G1. All sorts of reasons for that, not the least of which is those of you who were at Impact World Tour know it's possible to now be in B1G1 for just $1 a day. So go consider that as you let us know whether you'd love to be a part of this B2B enterprise thing here called For Good. It's looking a bit like a bee now, Masami. Where's it go now?
So then, eventually what we are looking at doing, as we have more members and more For Good partners in each of the city and country, is to, for B1G1 to allocate a special focus in working with those partners in different countries. So, and then in each of the city, when the number of members hit at least like 100, then we can start having a leadership brought in. So one of those active businesses might say, we want to play a part as a city partner for a period of time. And then those city partners will be also together taking care of For Good partners and the members and creating like a local networking opportunities and regular meetups and so on. So there is a lot going on here in 2019. And if you have any interest in getting involved, then please let us know. Now, I will show you the remaining parts. So B1G1 cannot do, our team and Paul and me, like we cannot do what we do here by ourselves. So we also depend on advice from people who bring in so many different experiences and expertise. So we have always worked with a group of board members, independent board, in terms of managing all of the projects and the charity and assessing all of the charitable organizations. But we are starting to actively tune into the advices, ideas, and suggestions from businesses, business owners and professional people who bring in different expertise, such as system development or digital marketing and so on. So if you feel this is something that you would like to do to add your special elements to B1G1 development, then please let us know as well. And then so far, so there are things missing in this picture still, so let me show you quickly.
And by the way, it's good to have some of our board members on the call today too. Very good. Yeah.
So some of our members, business members, have invited their employees to events like B1G1X or conferences or study tours, but we haven't done this as actively to engage your team members in this. So we are looking at how we can increase the sense of connection with your team members from here as well. And there are more and more people looking at the idea behind B1G1 and they go like, well, I'm not a business owner, but I would love to help, or I would love to make a difference. So how are we going to, really work with these people is like one of those things we want to develop. And then eventually we will be, working with influencers and people who can add different types of input into the development initiative. So as you look at this picture, you would recognize that it actually looks like this. Now,
There's the bee.
so now this picture looks pretty much
In case you were worried, there's the bee.
and we nicknamed this as B1G1 Big B as the theme of the community development, and together as little tiny bees we can create our giving tribes, giving hives to spread the spirit of giving. So that's where we are heading now.
The serious, the bee is great fun, but just let me say that you've all got your foci, if that's the right word, for 2019, and part of our focus is this beautiful umbrella of the bee, which is really our first attempt at taking B1G1 to be mainstream, right? To really, really scale this. And one of the things that I've learned is that in order to scale, you have to get out of the way. And you have to get out of the way for people who are part of the movement to let them drive things in really brilliant ways. And we've seen that, what happens in B1G1X and in many other ways as well. So if you'd like to be a part of this bee and create your own hive, for example, in there, just jump up, let us know on the chat, or alternatively, as Masami said, Paul at b1g1.com or Masami at b1g1.com, and let us know. Where else are you going to go with this, Masami?
And this leads us to the next topic, which is this. So now let's talk about our giving. And there are some new projects joining in the last 1-2 months. And, because B1G1 project list always have so many options. So sometimes even when new projects are joining, you may not notice. So I'd like to highlight first one of those projects because it relates to this very topic that we've been discussing so far. So this is the project that we are particularly excited about. Help a farmer run a beekeeping business. So finally, we have a project that relates to bees. So what happened was when we were in Kenya during the last study tour, we were visiting some of the existing projects and learning about what was going on. Then we happened to discover a brand new project that's been going on for some time, with the NGO, but then we didn't know of that this opportunity existed. So we brought this project on board. So what you can do is just for 3 cents, you can give access to a farmer, you can give a farmer access to beekeeping business for 1 day.
It's amazing.
So, yes, so how this works is because to give one farmer the bee keeping kit, it costs $50, and it's still quite insignificant amount to equip one farmer with a kit, but this kit lasts for 5 years. So for the next 5 years, the farmer can keep creating income. And also, this project is another project that is unique in multiple ways, because when the farmer gets income, it's not only benefit that farmer's family, but also benefit the local community and all the farming in the region as well, because we do need to have a more bees pollinating flowers. So yeah, so that's one.
That's a great one. And Masami, am I right in saying this is a project run by Mango Tree in Kenya that we'll be seeing on the Kenyan study tour? Is that the one?
So if you are very interested in seeing the story behind this project, then going on a study tour could be one of those things you might want to do eventually. And in September, we will be returning to Kenya again. So we are very excited about that. Now, and then as a result of it, we had a couple of new goat-related projects coming on board as well. So I hope you will go to B1G1 project list and check out the brand new project. And there is a project like a filter which allows you to see the new project. So you can go and then take a look at what's new occasionally, and then notice some of the new projects and then give and make a difference as well. So that leads to the final item. But what I noticed was that my battery is running really low on my computer. So what I would do, since I'm at the same hotel with Paul, I'm going to run to Paul's computer and then see whether we can share that final thing from there. So stay tuned. So Paul, back to you.
Masami, and whilst you're doing that, thank you very much for that. And so I thought it was my battery action. I'm going, oh my God, my power's running out. But it's not, it's yours. So now, and we're good for things. Whilst Masami was doing that, and Masami, do come over, and we'll come on over. And so what I wanted to show you though, just to in a sense, emphasize the beekeeping thing, is this. Let me just share my screen so you can see what this is. Sorry, here we go. So if I just share my screen, and you'll be looking at something that you see fairly frequently, which is your opening screen in B1G1. Hopefully you can see all of that there. And this is the screen, view all projects, right? And the default on that is this small cost project one. But when you hit this button here, or this drop down box, you get a whole lot of other things right up here. And the one that I really love, and I'm really taking a big long look at now, is this thing called the newest projects. And it, as you know, it takes a lot for a project to become a B1G1 project. So there's some really fabulous things in here. This mango tree one over here, just fabulous stuff. But you'd never know if all you did was put the default to the normal default. So do have a look at that, and I think Masami's on her way in, that little newest projects tab right there. Oh, there she is. She's got some power. Have a look at this, by the way. Hopefully, you're all going to want to, before Masami finishes this, you're all going to want to go, oh my gosh, I didn't get online and even download this app. As a result of this, you will download this app. Let's see why.
So can you see, so inside the Impact Now app, now here is a feature called Introduce a Friend. So that section is available from the menu by clicking on the top left corner, right? So the menu expands and you can choose menu item called Introduce a Friend. And this simple form allows you to actually put in your friend's preferred contact details, and then also describe how, why you want B1G1 to contact this friend of yours. So you might say, oh, we met at the event and he's very interested. And then if you submit this, then it goes.
She doesn't mean if you submit it. She when you submit it is what she actually means.
When you submit this form, the notification goes to the B1G1 team with your friend's detail, but also with your detail. So what happens is we took note that this person is coming from you. So eventually, when the friend joins B1G1, then
there you go.
Link you together as well. So that kind of adds to your giving impact footprint as well. So this is another way to do this, because with the main B1G1 system, of course, you can send an invitation note to your friend. But the thing is, that means then, if the friend is not prepared to join immediately just by receiving that email, that might stop there. But this way of introduction, where you introduce your friend to B1G1, then we will be actually taking care of your friend, explaining things for them, or even having a one-on-one conversation if that's required. And then we can help your friend to come on board. So we would love you to get the app if you haven't got it, and then try this out. We look forward to connecting with many of your great friends and contacts as well.
We certainly do. We certainly do. Masami, did you want to stop your share for a second, or have you got? Okay, wasn't that great? So let's just sort of recap. We talked about those the power of small things. Remember all of those things. Then we got into Masami's updates and fascinating things on there. A lot of people have been commenting on the B project, and of course B1G1 X that was in London, and here we are in the second month of the year. So many more things that we could have been sharing with you tonight Vilnius time. How about that, in Lithuania? But that's why in 5 weeks time, roughly, we're going to be joining you again on these fast-paced 35 minutes of B1G1 Connect Plus. Masami, I'm going to let you have the final say, but what I'm of course doing is looking forward to the morning when this room is going to be packed to the rafters, actually, with lots of entrepreneurs here in this amazing place called Vilnius, as we do the last leg, the final one of this thing that has been so important for us to do, that is impact the world tour. Many of you who've been on the chat tonight and on this call were part of Impact the World Tour. You were in the audiences. And indeed, you just turn up here. So I just want you to know that you are so important to us. And so I just wanted to say, and Masami, I'll let you end it off, but I just wanted to say how great it is, what a wonderful feeling it is to be able to serve you and to be sharing all of this with the world. And as I said earlier on, with the B1G1B, that's really going to help B1G1 go mainstream. And I'm looking forward to doing all of that with you. Thanks, Masami, for being here. Why don't you do your wonderful little farewell?
Well, like I feel like the first decade of B1G1 development went very fast. You know, it was long, but it was very fast as well in many ways. But the thing is now, you know, we just feel the sense of how this is moving forward in a new way. And because the first stage of development was, you know, pretty much that the B1G1 is like trying to spread the word by doing the event or from our website or in all sort of ways. But then now the realization is that actually you are the ones that, you know, who have the greatest power to inspire and empower others around you, because you are there and you are doing what you do. So that's the magic. And now, you know, things like B1G1X happening, or more and more members are expressing their spirit of giving in their own unique ways. We feel that this is the now time to really make sure that we exist to support you in your endeavor to really create giving businesses around you. So thank you so much for your continuous support and effort and everything you do. And we look forward to connecting again in 6 weeks' time. But in the meantime, anytime, if you have ideas or if you want to, you know, do something with us, then please do drop us a note, and to any of the team members as well. And we look forward to learning from you and making many great things happen together in this amazing year 2019.
Okay, bye everybody. Bye.
Thank you so much. All the best.
Bye. Lovely to have you here. Oh, look at all those messages on the chat. Wow. You guys are just so lovely.
Thank you so much.